Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I have a great rack. I have histone and ethions, and there will probably be some 8s through the right floaters. If my opponent changes, he doesn't. So I have... Do I have histone? I'm not sure I do. I have ethions certainly in rows G and I. Begun takes a K after it and nothing else. Now there's a double lane in column 5 through an E, which looks promising. I can't see anything through that. What about the B in column 4? No. And what about the N in column 8? Anything beginning or ending with the N? Don't think so. So I'm looking at ethions in row G or I, but it doesn't get doubled, and I feel I'm missing something. Well, I've got histogen in column 6, and I'm going with this because it blocks the double column, and it's going to score more than the row G or I placement. But I suspect there may be something even better. 66. Great, I draw the first blank. Not a great set of tiles to go with it, but that's okay. I've got a vowel, so I'm looking to play off some of my non-bingo-y high-scoring tiles. Now the F and the V lack synergy, so I certainly want to play off at least one of them. Flavour would be good through an A. No A available. 37 points for my opponent, a good score. I don't think I have a bingo with this rack. Can't see any 7s or 8s. So how to sort it out? Now I do have a K for going after begun, so I could play flak, keeping VR blank. That's not bad. Can I do better than that? I know my F could go in this double letter square, making of. So I could play Fural, but I don't want to do that because I want to play off 2 of the 3 high-scoring tiles. Now what about coming down through this E? I could begin with the K. Well, the same problem, I can't play off 2, so I'm going to play flak. It does open a hotspot in column 8 for a 5-letter play. But if my opponent uses that, he'll be creating floaters, and if he doesn't, I may have a 5-letter play with my V on this double letter square. Flak takes an E and a Y after it. 25 points. Great, I have starved, which plays in row K, making histogens, and in column 10, making begunks. And I also have diverts. What else is there? Well, I would probably be using my blank as a vowel. However, there may be something in column 5 coming through the E of begunk, in which case the V would be near the end of the word. Can't see anything there. That's a shame. Good bingo by my opponent. He's blocked both of my spots for starved, which is irksome. I am going to check this. I'm pretty sure it's good, but it may not be. Yep, so I lose 5 points. I'm now 60 points behind. Now I do have starved in row I because flak takes an S, but that opens up column 15, so I'd like to find a better placement. Just running through the vowels. A is starved, E is stirved and vertets. That doesn't help. I is diverts and strived, possibly. O, can't see anything. U can't see anything. So do I play in row I? I think I do. Although I am opening up column 15, I'm also providing a whole bunch of floaters, so there are scoring opportunities. For example, the double-double lane in column 11. Starved, 78. I have uremia, which plays in row L, making goo. But that could easily be blocked if my opponent plays in column 15 down from the D. I'm just wondering if there are any 8-letter plays with this rack. This is the sort of rack which does make a bingo, but if it weren't for that, it would be pretty poor. So there probably aren't many 8s that it makes, just too many vowels. It would make uremias onto an S. That's all I can see. Great. Well, 51 points for my opponent, not so great, but my uremia spot remains available. And I can't see any other bingo. Uremia, 73. Fantastic. I draw the second blank. That looks pretty bingo-y. I have ratoons in row M and goos. And I suspect I have other bingos. I think ratoona is good. That plays in column 12 onto this R. No really good bingo lanes on this board. But I may be able to have a... Well, I was going to say a greater overlap than just GU, but anything which goes to the right doesn't get doubled unless it reaches the M, which is a 5-tile overlap, which may be possible. Let me have a look for some 7s here. Cartoon. I note actually any massive overlap here would require an E under the R, so that is unlikely. However, I can still look for 7-letter bingos. So I've got cartoon and coranto here. Let me stop this operation and consider what my opponent has done. He's played Cardi for 24. So do I have anything ending with an I? Well, close to rigatoni. I have oration as a 7. Tandoori, yes, fantastic. I don't think there are any other lanes to consider, so I'm going to get this down. Tandoori, 74. Not so great. However, I am now 90 points in front, so I'm in reasonable shape. But quite an open board, quite a few opportunities. And wow, look at that, 55 points for a non-bingo play. So I'm only 40 points ahead now, and there's still the Z and the X to come. So this is a tight game, and I don't have a great rack. I have, well, a play like cello would sort the rack out somewhat. I'm just wondering if collar is good with ER. I'm not sure about that. I certainly need to play off 2 L's and an O. And I'm looking at playing my C simply for score. Jello doesn't quite reach the double word square. I think col is good, C-O-double-L. Not 100% sure on that. I haven't seen anywhere for cello yet. So not a great position to be in. However, I drew 7 random tiles, so not surprising that I get a rack like this. Just wondering about playing down column 9, but I think the best I can do is LO, which isn't good enough. 13 minutes on my clock, 16 on my opponent's clock. I've got love down here, can't extend that through the M. Wow, what a tricky rack. So I could play... Well, no, I can't play cool. O doesn't take an L. And T doesn't take an O in front of it, so that hampers me. I'm not too bothered about playing the C, but I do want to play off 2 L's. And an O. So I could just play Joll. It doesn't feel great, but it sorts the rack out. 12 points. Am I missing something much better? Probably. I could play Col and Gull. Only 1 more point, and then this, but that burns the C, and the C helps ELO as a rack leave. I'm going with this. Great, I draw the Z, which means my opponent doesn't have it. So I could play Zo, Zar, and OE for a decent score. Zo or Zol also playable in row J for a good score. Wow, great bingo by my opponent, 80 points. He now takes a 30-point lead. Only 14 tiles left. Can I get a decent Z score? And there's still a lot of scoring tiles in the bag, so the advantage has certainly swung to my opponent. So I could play lulls in column 11. 26 points. That's not very good. Let me just see what Zo scores. 46 points, which is pretty good. Rack leave, pretty bad. So, what about row O? My Z would have to begin the play, or I could hang on to it. This is a pretty hot little row, so if I don't use it, my opponent could easily, say, have a high-scoring tile on the double letter square and score 50 or 60 points. So I shouldn't be in too much of a hurry to burn my Z. I can't see anything which uses the Z or begins with the Z that plays. Now what about row M? Certainly placing my Z above the A would restrict row O. I've got Zoic on my rack, but that doesn't really help. Column 4 would be nice if I could have my Z on this double letter square. Can't see a way of doing that. 9 minutes on my clock. I don't have any high scoring tile which can go on this double letter square. I think I may need to go for this Zo score. Let me check the vowel situation. 8 vowels out of 21 tiles. So that encourages me to play here, because the rack is consonant heavy, so my vowel preponderance isn't as bad as it otherwise would be. So Zo for 46. Not good. I don't draw any of the high scoring tiles, so I'm going to struggle to score, and it also means my opponent is more likely to have one or more and to be able to score well with it. Yeah, 50 points. TO takes nothing in front of it, so I can't play parallel to that. Row L is slightly hot. My C is my solitary high-scoring tile. My opponent's now 40 points in front, 8 tiles left, but still a lot of high-scoring tiles, which very much works in my opponent's favour. He can just keep on scoring. So, do I have anything across here? Beginning with the C, that is. Don't think I do. So, what can I do? Is there any point in aiming for a bingo? Well, bingo lanes are row A with through a B, not particularly likely, except I do have the IBL ending, so I don't have anything through that at the moment. And there's the V in column 13. Also not very good, and apart from that, there are no bingo lanes. Maybe I should open one. So what about playing Lou across here? It stops my opponent placing a high-scoring tile on this spot. It gets rid of non-bingo-y tiles. It's leaving myself with not many vowels. 5 out of 15 are left, but my rack leave is bingo-y, and I am opening a bingo lane. It'd be nice to play off one more constant and keep one vowel, but I can't see a way of doing that. Well, I could play Liri. That keeps the U, which is non-bingo with one to come, and it doesn't open a new bingo lane. Such a shame burning this E, and the L isn't that useful as a floater. 18 points is okay, and I am denying my opponent that spot. So I'm in a bad position, but I think this is the best I can do. Well, I'm 15 points behind, and I do now have some scoring tiles. However, there are still 3 out there, the H, P, and W. I don't have a bingo with this rack. This looks quite a hot little lane in column 14. Either my F or my Y could go in front of this E, but my I doesn't go in front of the W. Well, my opponent's gone there for 47, and he's emptied the bag. So I would have to bingo now, and that's not going to happen. If one of my I's was an A, I would have craftily in column 1. I don't think I have a bingo ending LY or ILY. Column 13 is available for non-bingo plays ending TY. So I can play Rifty down here. I think that's pretty good. I just need to check that I can go out with IC. I may not be able to. So 49 points, pretty good, but not good enough. What can I do with CI? Well, Maiko. Okay, that's one possibility. What else? What if that's blocked? Five minutes on my clock. Well, my opponent may leave Maiko alone. But I'd rather not rely on that. Well, I think I'm going to go with this because the Rifty score is so good. Now my C could also go where this T is. So do I have a play ending CY? so I think I'll go with this. So I'm hoping my opponent doesn't block Maiko. Or that I spot an alternative out. I certainly won't get stuck with the C because I can play cat. I guess I should have checked if my opponent could bingo. Because if he had only one bingo, I should have prioritised blocking it, but I don't think he has. "14 minutes on my opponent's clock, so he's played pretty fast. He doesn't block Maiko. Maiko for 16. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game. Which he does. And the final score, 458 to me, 473 to my opponent. A winning margin of 15 points, so well done to my opponent. A high-scoring game. Let's see what I missed. So, it was my opponent to go fast. He played Begun. I then played Histogen. Wow. And there wasn't anything which scored more, I'm surprised. My opponent's rack, he plays Chi. I have the blank. Fakir, quite nice, although the KV keep not great. I played Flak for 25 and a better rack leave. But probably Fakir, a slightly better play. Nice rack for my opponent. Posings and other bingos available. And I had starved at I9 and there was nothing better. Oh, adverts, I didn't see that as an anagram. My opponent plays Adviewed, leaving me with Uremia, which was the only bingo. My opponent's rack, he plays Cardi. I have a great pickup and Tandoori looks best. My opponent plays Badtree, which was a super spot. And now my rack is awful. I've got a lead of 40 points, but a lot of heavy tiles to come and very tricky to sort this rack out. As you can see down here, a lot of these rack leaves keep duplicate L, which isn't good, and when they don't keep duplicate L, they don't score more than 20 points. However, Joel for 12, not great. Well, I was going to say Al Cool looks nice, but that's putting an O underneath this double letter square, so that's not great. Cold D10, where's that? Yeah, cold onto this D. I think that probably would be my preference. As you can see, it scores 6 more points than Joel. My opponent's rack, great spot of Atamoya. And now I draw the Z. Struggled with it. I played Zoe for 46. Yeah. And my real issue here was that I was leaving a super hot spot available, but I don't think there's anything I could do about that. My opponent's rack, he plays Exxon. And my rack, so Cluia playable down onto this R for 18. But I don't particularly want to burn a lot of tiles since I'm behind. Well, that's Jolla I thought looked nice, but the rack leave is awful, keeping IIU. So actually none of these plays look particularly nice. And I like Lou for the reasons stated. My opponent has unthawed through an E. No E available. But he gets a terrific score in column 14. And then he empties the bag with that. This was my final rack. Ooh, look, Clifty for 41. Pretty good. I played Rifty for 49. But I think that left me with only one out. Whereas Clifty would have left me with more. But anyway, those are the two best games. 2 best moves, rather. My opponent doesn't have a bingo. He plays Putelli. And finally, Maiko was the only out. So maybe Clifty would have been better than Rifty. So pretty exciting game, very high scoring, a lot of bingos, and a narrow victory for my opponent. So well done again to him. I hope you enjoyed watching that, and I will see you next time.